Now, the rest of the story.
Oh, it's not kickstart. Does that count? So, for those of you that are new to the channel and don't know what I'm talking about, I have a Mountain Dew addiction. This is the kind of stuff you don't want to find in your tires. And been finding a lot of sheds this year. Had found a lot of sheds this year. Looks like the rest of them are already gone. We found a lot of these, all of these, when we were checking fence. And I'd much rather find them out in the pastures checking fence than in the grass waterways where you find them with the 82 tires and you have to stop on a Saturday and try to find somebody to come out and help you. Not like we've experienced that or anything. So I got done feeding cows because Ryan's hauling corn and he told me that his cows need feed, so I'd run around and do that. It's 12:30 on whatever day it is, beginning of this video. I don't know if I've really addressed that, but this is off the Earthmaster. Some very clear wear and tear. Nothing $310 won't fix. We used to hear about, from time to time, plastic bushings that you can put at least on the top and bottom of those hitches, so it keeps the implement tongue from destroying your drawbar. So I know you can get them through Stone's Express, but I don't know what it's really gonna do to help with the pin wear like that, but I'm gonna maybe look into them a little bit more. Going through, which I'm working backwards. I'm working backwards more than I'm working forwards here lately. I had to grind feed the other day. I say other day when in reality it was yesterday. Fed all the steers, both steer stuffers. I got unhooked the 4020 again. Checked the oils. Check the oils. Check the oils. I'm gonna check it in all three of these machines because we didn't decide, Dad he mentioned it might be a good idea, and I agree. You get down in this lower field, so you have this first grass patch right here. Well, then we have big patch down behind the neighbor's building there. There's a little, well, big patch is obviously the worked ground right about there, but on this side, like right behind this tree and behind this building, there's like a double triangle piece where it comes up and it goes down, then it goes over, and then it goes down. It just jogs a little bit. Kind of a hassle to combine. Oh, that's a lie. It's not a hassle to combine as much as it is to really get it sprayed, because it seems like there's a fair amount of crop ran over for the sprayer to spray it, because it's what, 490-degree turns, and there's not a whole lot of like actual acres there. We're talking maybe an acre and a half, but also there's the waterways over in Big Patch that we had just seeded down, and I just mentioned it to Dad yesterday because he did go out and he worked down all the soybean ground on the home farm, about what it would be to just leave a road on top of the field over to the waterways so we could get the waterways made, because depending on who you are, where you're at, and the amount of workload you have throughout the year, I like to make our waterways. I like to keep our waterways all cleaned out, for one. Secondly, it's feed any way you look at it, and seems how we don't have the fences to let our cows out in the field to let them graze the fields up through here. And on other farms, I would actually rather get the feed off the fields, waterways, and whatever else. So by going through and seeding this down, we can actually get down through there, because that's actually a gate. You guys probably aren't seeing it on the GoPro, but there's a gate right there. I took the corner post out, and we can get down through there through this field. So it's not like we have to make a road dedicated just to get the waterways. So then we can seed that down and the waterways. I'm gonna take the 4020. I thought I was done harrowing with the 4020 this year. I actually start checking oils. I'm gonna go down and harrow this field down, because We've been harrowing first before we seed. The reason we do that is because this harrow is so aggressive compared to our old 4-section Lindsay harrow that we're having an issue in the past 4 or 5 years getting our new seeding to establish. So this new harrow had a lot of the blame pointed at it because it's so aggressive that it's burying, perfect. It's burying our alfalfa seeding too deep, which in turn is, well, it's not allowing it to germinate, and it's kind of aggravating when you're paying as much as you are to get it in the light, sitting, perfect as well. Right? Yes. No? And yeah, it's actually right at the full mark. Perfect. Problem is, I gotta wipe it off because I hit it against the floor, so you guys are gonna get shaken around a little bit. I mean, if you're seasick, make sure you have your throw up bag nearby to the computer screen. So my plans are, you guys know the swear words, I'm gonna go and harrow this field down, get that done. And we did some bulldozing the other day, which I really haven't discussed much or addressed because it was last minute, spur of the moment, say yes or no now, otherwise it's not gonna happen. And it's right across from my driveway. And the tree line through there was absolutely atrocious. And there was, why am I standing? Like we lost like 30 feet of the fence line just because the trees were growing, I mean, parallel with the ground. Instead of growing up, they were going out. And Dad, way back when I think Mike, was it Godsinger? One of Grandpa's hired hands at some point in this farm's turning into a long history, used to help, and they cut out this whole fence line. But the problem is, do I have my Nebo light on me? Probably don't, because I think Rolina was playing with it. Aha! Must have got it back from her. I say it's, oh no. Oh, kids. Well, I can see that it's actually at the top. So now that we have that fence row cleaned out, Bailey Excavating is the guy that did it. Did a pretty awesome job. He's done some work for us last year, and I actually have a lot of work in mind for him going forward. Bulldozing's not cheap. Don't get me wrong. I know it's not cheap, but at the same time, it's worth it as long as you do it right. As in, this is what I want you to do. Let me know when you get to this point, and we'll talk some more if you need to keep going and spend more money. But a lot of the fences in the woods down at my place need to be taken out. And the problem with a lot of those fences is that we can't get to them anymore, to the point where we can't get to them to tear them out. Like it's an issue and anymore, especially seeing how good of a job Mike did taking out the fences down there, because those were not quite as bad, but bad enough. He's really confident in his ability to tear the fences out as he's doing it. The big disadvantage to doing that is stakes that break off. I got like 30 of them here this spring. I can actually show you a really good example. Right here. And oh, you also have the random one where you get the top part of the stake found laying in the field. Found one of them. Oops. Found a couple of these this year, which, I mean, to give you an idea how old they are, in my lifetime, we've never used stakes like this. These were used primarily long before my time, but you saw these more in the wire panel fences. And this looks like a pretty fresh break actually, but they're not that thick and they break off right at ground level. So it's an issue. And this whole mess is, I can clean it up. And if I'm the one that ends up cleaning this up, this will all be cleared out. Have no doubt about that. It's just that when I clean stuff up, it gets cleaned up, and then 5 years down the road, we go looking for something, and I get accused of throwing something away 5 years from now that I shouldn't have thrown away. But I'm gonna go back, and this is actually loaded up. It's calibrated for alfalfa because Ryan went and seeded down what he seeded down. I'm gonna go down and seed this 1.5 acres with this. Once I get done harrowing down at my place with the 40/20, I'm actually going to take our drill. That's right, the old John Deere something. I can't even remember the name on it, or it's the drill. It's the exact same thing that we had growing up. I should have turned the lights on because chances are the camera's not picking up jack. Of course it's not. There we go. We can look into the abyss. That is our grain drill. BLM number 4, I believe, is what I was seeding the other day. This stuff I vacuumed out of the big orange one, and I didn't know how much seed I needed the other day, so we just went through and put all of it in, and I got the equivalent of probably just under 2 bags in here. What I'm gonna do, that's right, what I'm gonna do is we have a bunch of corn seed left over from last year, and seems how the corn prices are where they're at. It's only 1 bag there, and I call them party mix bags. As a matter of fact, I think this one's even labeled that. There you go, upside down party mix. Pretty much all the seed that I had left in the planter last year that I cleaned out. I'm actually gonna throw the corn seed into that drill. Great way to get rid of it, rather than throwing it in the spreader or whatever else. Because that stuff's treated, you do not feed that to livestock. And then we had some bulldozing done by the Snowmobile Club last year, where they opened up one of our pastures, one of our 4-wheeler trails, and I need to go down with our drill and seed it. Plus, where they bulldozed just this last week, I'm gonna go down and seed that down. I don't care if it has a little bit of corn seed in it, because the stuff across from my place, the grass seed is gonna take over anyway. But we'll get that seeded in. I'll end up making that for grass, a little bit is there. And then the stuff that I'll be seeding in the pastures, the corn that comes up, the cows can chew on it if the corn even comes up. But I'd rather seed it out in the pasture and let the cows eat it. Once I let the cows into the pasture. It's cold out. Why aren't we planting? Well, it's cold. It's getting down below freezing at night, to the point where I really don't feel comfortable, and I imagine a lot of people are, because it appears to me that there aren't any planters running. At least I haven't seen them. You see them sitting around different people's buildings, but basically I think everybody has the same mindset that we have. I mean, I'm also hearing this from people, but we had the forecast for lows at night in the 20s, and starting, today is Wednesday or Thursday, starting tomorrow or Friday is when we're going to get out of that cold snap and start to warm up, and the overnight temps aren't down below freezing. I think that's when a lot of guys are going to start planting. I mean, I would really like to get going. The problem is the amount of things that you want to do before you start pulling the planter across the field is ever present, and it seems like you can't ever get away from it. And then finally you just got to pull the pin and say, oh, tough, it didn't get done, but it's just what it's going to be. Rocks, I actually have to go back down to my place sometime here, probably tomorrow. I have a couple huge rocks. They're actually boulders. They're not even rocks anymore. They're The one has got to be about 3 feet long, 2 feet wide, and about a foot thick. And it's probably going to be everything the Bobcat has, just to pick it up. But the problem is it's in one of our bean fields, and it's got to be removed before we can put the beans in, before we can even send the disc and the 82 down to work it up. So that's pretty much what we're doing, is we're trying to get ground ready now. A lot different than what we used to do. Growing up, it was always the disc was running 2 steps in front of the planter. It seems like the planter was always chasing the disc. Well, the thing is, as you get older and more educated, more enlightened, I guess, I actually would prefer to work the ground almost a day ahead of the planter, even with that rolling basket on the back of the Earthmaster. What it does is it presses the ground, helps get the air out of the soil, lets it settle. But then when you wait for a day, it helps that soil settle that much more, so you're not planting into a pillowcase or pillow. That 630 disc of mine, I miss it for working in waterways and in the ditches that we had. The chisel plow did fine, but that's where my 630 really shined. I just couldn't justify keeping the 630 around for pulling it across the field for 2 hours a year. With what I did with that, when I sold it, I could actually go and buy like 3 more of those if I really wanted to. Just, you got to decide where your money needs to be and doesn't need to be. And leaving a piece of equipment sit in the field or sit in the shed and collect dust and take up room, I just couldn't justify it. So I made hindsight's 2020. That was a smart decision. Doesn't necessarily overshadow the 6 or 7 wrong choices you made, but I mean, one right step in the right direction, right? Equipment just really got to get moved around. We have everything we need for planting. The valley, let's talk about that really quick before I shut this off and get on with my day. I didn't go through. I talked to Andrew. They came through and they sprayed off the valley, that 35 acres. So the coon drill has about a day of work to do yet, but we're done with it for 2 weeks because I can't seed it until at least May 2nd, because it has to be at least 2 weeks after it's sprayed to make sure that the chemicals that were sprayed aren't going to damage the new seed I'm putting down. It's going to be a minimum of 20 pounds of Grassmaster, and then I'm getting it's going to be 3 pounds to the acre of Reed Canary, because the way this coon drill is set up is it's got the 2 compartments up front, and then it's got the alfalfa seed in the back. I don't feel like climbing up there, so that's why you're not going to see me do that. That's where this thing really shines, is because when you want to put multiple mixes in, different seeds in one pass across the field, this thing is really awesome for that. So I mean, you got this one's for the front compartment, this one's for the back compartment, and there's your alfalfa seed. I'm not planning on putting an alfalfa down there. Largely I'm going just for grass. Everybody pretty well knows how much I hate clover. I went down there yesterday and got a load of hay. I drove across the field with the Bobcat just to see if you could tell if the stuff was dinged yet, if it was keeling over, and about 80% of that field down there is turning brown. So really puts it in perspective as to how much clover was really down there across that field. That is really limiting me on what I can make off that field. The reason I say that is because it's really a one and done crop. You get one good cutting off of it, and then anything you make after that, you really wonder why you're even cutting it. I mean, that's when I'm going into the year only planning on taking 2 cuttings. That's it. Especially now that I'm seeding that field down with this well, it's gonna be May. Waiting until July for my first cutting is probably gonna be more beneficial. I'm gonna be breaking that farm up a little bit. I'm not gonna be cutting it all at once, but chances are the field ground is going to be the last field that I actually cut, and we'll probably be doing the bottom and the pasture and the neighbor's place before I even think of doing the actual field, because I want to make sure that the grass that I'm putting down has a good start before I go through and take it out, because I already know your first year of seeding, it's just not really going to do much. But the advantage of seeding it in May, it's going to be warmer. They're calling for multiple days in the 70s. That grass seed is going to jump out of the ground, hopefully, once we actually get it in the ground, because right now it's cold out. I mean, yes, people's oats are growing, but the oats are like just really turning the ground green in the slots that they were planted. So I really don't feel like we're out too much. So I don't know how I'm going to work it into the schedule. It depends on the weather, rain, yada yada yada. Planning on doing beans first, be done within 4 or 5 days as long as I can go. Switch over to corn and either start planting corn and I'm staying with corn, and then we're going to finish up with seeding, which is almost 99% of what we're going to be doing. Or if I can't justify planting corn just yet, but I can go down and get the seeding done between planting corn and beans, I'll do that. So there's going to be a video on how farms work of that. Chances are I'm not going to film it, so you guys are going to have to keep an eye out on my brother's channel to see that video, which I look forward to. You'll never see me do drone shots unless I have asked Ryan for some drone footage, which I haven't yet. But I actually like seeing the drone footage down at the valley. It's actually pretty scenic down there when it wants to be. So with that, I have to continue on with my day. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. You guys have been doing really awesome as far as supporting the channel. Comments go a long ways. Liking, disliking the channel goes a long way. A lot of it is just interacting with the channel. For those of you that don't and do want to get notifications and at least know when I'm posting, make sure you ding the bell down below, because I guess that that option can be kind of finicky whether or not you actually get updates or not. I'm pretty consistent. If I don't post at 6 o'clock on the days that I post, then I'm probably not going to post. So with that, I'll talk to you guys later.